You've been standing in the waiting room of your destiny wondering if the door will ever open. You've been praying, fasting, believing, sowing seeds, and doing everything you know to do, but nothing seems to move. It feels like heaven went silent on you. You keep checking the clock, and the clock keeps ticking, but nothing changes. And if you're honest, sometimes you start to wonder, did I miss God? Did I mess it up? Did he forget about me? But I came to tell somebody delays are not denials. The silence of God is not the absence of God. When God stops speaking, it's because he's already said enough to carry you through this season. Sometimes the teacher doesn't talk during the test. The delay is not punishment, it's proof that something bigger is being prepared for you behind the scenes. You see, God is the master builder. He doesn't build small, he doesn't rush, he takes his time. You're asking him for a blessing that can be microwaved in 30 seconds, but he's cooking you a feast that takes time to simmer. You can't rush a recipe that's meant to be rich. He's layering your life with ingredients: a pinch of patience, a dash of endurance, a handful of wisdom, and if he served it too soon, it would taste raw. I know you want it now. I know you've cried for it. I know you've seen other people walk into the very thing you've been praying for, and you're standing there saying, Lord, when is it my turn? You see their engagement photos, their new house, their healed body, their growing business, and the enemy whispers, see, God passed you by. But the devil is a liar. God doesn't pass his children by. He may pause, but he never passes. Delay is a sign that destiny is still in motion. When a plane delays its departure, that doesn't mean the flight was canceled. It means the pilot saw something in the weather that you didn't see. It means there's turbulence up ahead that needs to clear, and I'd rather be delayed on the ground than destroyed in the air. Sometimes God holds you back because he knows the atmosphere isn't ready to carry what you're carrying. There's a reason Joseph had to wait 13 years from the pit to the palace. There's a reason Abraham had to wait 25 years for his promised son. There's a reason Moses had to wait 40 years in the desert before leading Israel. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was working. God was doing something in them before he did something for them, and maybe that's what he's doing in you. Maybe he's stretching your faith so you'll stop depending on people and start depending on him. Maybe he's strengthening your heart so when you get there, you won't crumble under the weight of the blessing. Maybe he's pruning relationships, habits, and fears that can't come with you to the next level. Sometimes God will hold you in a season longer than you want because he refuses to let you show up unready. You think you're waiting on God, but sometimes God is waiting on you to heal. Waiting on you to forgive, waiting on you to believe again, because what he has for you can't be built on bitterness. You can't walk into the promise still chained to pain. You can't occupy new territory with an old mindset. The delay gives you time to grow into the person who can handle what you prayed for. When I look back over my own life, I thank God for the things he delayed. I thank him for every door he didn't open too soon, for every prayer he didn't answer right away. Because if I had gotten some of the things I wanted when I wanted them, they would have destroyed me. I wasn't ready. I would have mishandled the miracle. And sometimes the greatest mercy God shows is the mercy of delay. You see, when God delays, he's aligning. He's aligning your character with your calling, your maturity with your mission, your season with your strength. If he gave you the promise before the preparation, you'd turn the blessing into a burden. So he slows it down to make sure when it arrives, you can sustain it. Think about the story of Lazarus. Jesus waited 4 days to come to Bethany. 4 long, painful, silent days. Everyone thought he was late. They said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. But what they didn't know was that Jesus wasn't late, he was right on time for resurrection. Because if he had shown up when they wanted him to, they would have known him as a healer. But by delaying, they came to know him as the resurrection and the life. The delay gave them a deeper revelation of who he is, and that's what your delay is doing. It's deepening your revelation. It's showing you that God is more than a quick fix. He's a faithful Father. It's teaching you to trust his timing more than your timeline. Because when it finally happens, when it finally comes together, you'll look back and say, if he had done it then, I wouldn't have appreciated it like I do now. Some of you are in that awkward middle, too far from where you were, but not yet where you're going. You've outgrown the old season, but you haven't stepped fully into the new one. That's the most frustrating place to be, because you can feel the promise, but can't see it yet. But even in the middle, God is working. Even when it looks like nothing is happening, something is shifting. Roots grow deep before fruit grows visible. Don't mistake the unseen for the undone. You've got to learn to wait with worship. Don't waste the wait complaining. Worship in it. Praise in it. Serve in it. Because how you handle the delay determines how quickly you step into destiny. Israel turned an 11-day journey into 40 years because they couldn't handle waiting. Don't let impatience keep you wandering. Every day you choose faith over frustration, you're shortening your wilderness. You might say, Bishop, I've been waiting for years. Then hear me, you've got years of faith invested, and God is not about to let that return empty. He's a redeemer of time. He can make one season of favor make up for 10 seasons of delay. One yes from God can redeem a decade of not yet. When the appointed time comes, it won't trickle and it'll overflow. So keep building when nothing's happening. Keep praying when nobody sees. Keep sowing when it doesn't make sense. Because delay doesn't mean decline, it means development. You are in development. You're becoming something. The pressure you feel is the proof that God is shaping you. Diamonds take time. Gold must go through fire. Every great destiny has gone through the hallway of waiting. And don't let comparison steal your confidence. Your timeline isn't their timeline. Stop scrolling and start trusting. The moment you measure your miracle against somebody else's, you belittle what God is building in you. The same God who blessed them is preparing a blessing with your name on it. But yours has a different design, a different delivery date, and a different destiny attached. When the fullness of time comes, not your time, but His time, you won't have to force it. The door will swing open by itself. The favor will find you, the opportunity will chase you down, because when God says it's time, no demon, no delay, no denial can stop it. So don't quit in the hallway, don't walk away in the waiting. The enemy's greatest weapon is discouragement, because he knows if he can't destroy you, he'll try to delay you until you destroy yourself. But lift your head, square your shoulders, and tell yourself, this delay is divine. It's not over. It's not canceled, it's coming. I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying, I'm perfecting what concerns you. I'm aligning what's been out of order. I'm preparing people you haven't even met yet to open doors you haven't even knocked on. When you understand that, you can rest. You can stop pacing the floor. You can stop guessing every decision, because the God who promised it is the God who's performing it even in the delay. And when you finally walk into the thing you've been waiting for, you won't just celebrate the destination, you'll thank Him for the delay, because it taught you how to trust, how to worship, how to wait. It built something in you that success could never teach. So if you're in the middle of delay, lift your hands and declare it over yourself. This is not denial, this is development, this is divine timing. My delay is proof that God is still preparing me for something greater. Don't faint. Don't fold, don't flee, you're closer than you think. Every delay is a setup for a divine display. When it's time, the wait will be worth it, because what God has for you is still for you, and you can still get there. Life has a way of changing your plans. You map out your path, you write your goals, you set your timeline, and you tell yourself, this is how it's going to happen. But then something unexpected comes along, a storm, a sickness, a setback, a betrayal, and suddenly you find yourself somewhere you never planned to be. You look around and think, how did I end up here? Can I tell you something? God is not surprised by your detour. The route may have changed, but the destination remains the same. You thought it was going to be a straight road, smooth, simple, and predictable, but destiny never travels in a straight line. God specializes in crooked paths that lead to divine purpose. The shortest way isn't always the safest way. Sometimes the long way around is the only way God can get your heart, your mind, and your character ready for what He's about to release. Remember, when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, God didn't take them through the shortest route to the promised land. The Bible says He led them the long way around, through the wilderness, because He knew they weren't ready to face the battles waiting on the direct road. He said, if they see war too soon, they'll turn back. So he rerouted them not to punish them, but to protect them, and that's what God does with us. He reroutes us. He lets the plan we made fall apart because he knows that if we kept following our map, we'd end up in destruction. Some of the closed doors in your life weren't rejections, they were redirections. God said no to that job, that relationship, that move, because he saw something you couldn't see. He's not trying to take from you, he's trying to take you somewhere. You keep thinking that the detour means you're off course. But what if the detour is the course? What if the path that feels uncertain is the exact path that will bring you into alignment with your assignment? You wanted convenience, God wanted character. You wanted progress, God wanted purpose. You wanted speed, God wanted strength. Sometimes he'll break your GPS to teach you how to follow his voice. Because when you rely too much on your plan, you forget who's the planner. You think your degree, your network, your strategy is what's going to get you there, but God will let every plan fail until you realize he's the one who orders your steps. Proverbs says, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. You can make all the plans you want, but the step-by-step direction belongs to God. That means every twist, every turn, every delay, every disappointment, it's all part of his divine navigation system. You might not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and say, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have met them. If that door hadn't closed, I wouldn't have discovered my calling. If that job hadn't ended, I wouldn't have started my business. You'll see that the hand of God was guiding you the whole time. Don't let the confusion of the moment make you forget the promise of the mission. You may not be where you thought you'd be, but you are exactly where God needs you to be. Sometimes he'll hide you in a dry place to develop what can't grow in comfort. Sometimes he'll remove the familiar so you can discover the supernatural. Think about Jonah. He ran from God's plan, tried to chart his own course, and ended up in the belly of a fish. But even in the fish, God rerouted him back to Nineveh. That's the grace of God. You can run, but you can't ruin the plan. You can delay it, but you can't destroy it. Because when God said you're going there, he meant you're going there. The route changed, but the destination remained, and maybe that's what you're living right now. You thought your career would look different. You thought that marriage would last forever. You thought your health would stay strong. You thought by now you'd be farther along, but instead of the mountain, you found yourself in a valley. Instead of progress, you feel stuck, and the enemy whispers you missed it. You're too far off course to ever get back. But the devil is a liar. God doesn't lose his coordinates. He's not up in heaven trying to figure out how to get you back on track. He knew about the divorce. He knew about the job loss. He knew about the detour before you even took the first step. And he already built a road back to purpose. That's what grace does. It recalculates your route without canceling your destination. When your GPS says recalculating, it doesn't delete the destination. It just finds another way to get you there. That's what God is doing in your life. You made a wrong turn, but he's still guiding you. You hit a dead end, but he's opening a new road. You fell down, but he's raising you up again. You can still get there. You can still fulfill the call. You can still become everything God said you would be. The accident didn't change his plan. The betrayal didn't cancel his promise. The delay didn't destroy your destiny. Sometimes God will use broken roads to lead to beautiful places. You thought the wilderness was wasting time, but it's shaping you. Every tear, every test, every lonely night is teaching you how to trust him more deeply. You can't learn faith on easy streets. You can't learn obedience in comfort zones. You learn those lessons in the detours when nothing makes sense, but you choose to believe anyway. The route may change, but the destination remains. Paul wanted to preach in Asia, but the Spirit of God said no and redirected him to Macedonia. Paul thought his mission was one thing, but God said, I've got something else for you. And because Paul obeyed, the gospel reached Europe and the world was changed. What if the change in your plan is the beginning of somebody else's salvation? What if your detour is someone else's deliverance? You're crying over what didn't go your way, but God is smiling because his will is being done. You thought you lost something, but you were actually being positioned for purpose. Stop mourning the path that ended and start marching on the path that's unfolding. You've got to trust the reroute. Trust it when it's confusing. Trust it when it's uncomfortable. Trust it when it hurts. Because if you only trust God when it's convenient, you'll never see His full glory. Some of the most powerful seasons of your life will begin with disruption. God will shake your plan to awaken your purpose. Abraham had to leave his country not knowing where he was going, but he kept walking. Joseph had to go through a pit, a prison, and betrayal, but he kept dreaming. David had to run from Saul, hide in caves, and fight giants, but he kept believing. None of them got there the way they thought they would, but they got there, because the route may change, but the destination remains. Sometimes we confuse stability with purpose. We think God's goal is to make life predictable, but God's goal is transformation, not comfort. He will disrupt your plan to fulfill His promise. That's why you can't let the unexpected make you bitter. Every twist is a teacher. Every turn has truth hidden in it. Maybe God rerouted you through pain so you could develop compassion. Maybe He rerouted you through loss so you could discover strength. Maybe He rerouted you through obscurity so He could prepare you for influence. What feels like delay is divine direction. Stop saying, "This wasn't supposed to happen." If it's happening and you're walking with God, then it's supposed to happen. It's shaping something inside you that the straight road never could. There are treasures buried in the detour: wisdom, patience, endurance, humility, but you'll only find them if you stop resisting and start receiving. You can trust the God who reroutes you because He's the same God who promised you. He didn't change His mind. He didn't forget what He said. You're still the one He called. You're still the one He anointed. You're still the one He's sending. The road looks different, but the destination hasn't changed. So, lift your head, wipe your tears, straighten your crown, get back up and walk. It might not look like the path you pictured, but it's the path that will get you there. You may not have all the answers, but you have His presence, and that's enough. Sometimes the greatest faith you can have is not faith that God will change the situation, but faith that He's guiding you through it. You don't have to understand the route to trust the driver. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He sees the end from the beginning. Every mile, every moment, every mistake is accounted for in His plan, so don't panic when He changes direction. Don't resist when He says, "Turn left." You don't know what's up ahead, but He does, and He's never taken you anywhere that didn't serve your destiny. When you reach your promised place, you'll realize every detour, every delay, every disappointment was part of the divine map. You'll look back and say, "Now I understand. The route changed, but the destination was always the same." Because when God has spoken a word over your life, no storm, no season, no setback can stop it. You can still get there. You will get there. Not the way you planned, not the way you expected, but in a way that will make you say, "If I hadn't gone through that, I would have never known Him like this." And that's the beauty of the reroute. It doesn't just take you to the destination, it transforms you on the way there. Somebody needs to hear this tonight. You're not behind, you're not forgotten, and you are still on schedule for your miracle. You may not look like where you're going, but heaven's calendar still has your name written on it. Don't let the clock fool you. Don't let the years discourage you. God is not bound by your timeline. He rules time. He sits outside of time, commanding it to bow to His purpose. We measure time in hours and days. God measures time in destiny. You think you're late because you're comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. But what you don't see is that God is synchronizing everything for your divine moment. You don't have to rush when you're walking with the one who wrote the schedule. You might have missed your deadline, but you haven't missed God's. He doesn't work by your watch. He doesn't panic when you feel delayed. While you're pacing the floor saying, "Lord, it's too late," He's sitting on the throne saying, "It's right on time." The Bible says in Habakkuk 2:3, "The vision is for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it will surely come." That means there's a set time, an appointed season, a divinely orchestrated moment where everything God promised will manifest. It won't come early, it won't come late, it'll come right on time. You've got to understand, delay is not denial and it's not disorder. Sometimes God has to align heaven and earth before your miracle can break through. He's not just preparing the blessing for you, He's preparing you for the blessing, because if it comes too soon, you won't have the foundation to hold it. Some of you have been looking at your life saying, "Lord, I thought by now I'd be farther. I thought by now the promise would have come." But I came to remind you that every major move of God has its own appointed time. Abraham was 75 when God gave him the promise and 100 when it came to pass. Moses didn't start leading until he was 80. Sarah laughed because she thought she was too old, but God said, "Is anything too hard for me? You're not too late, you're right on schedule. The enemy wants you to confuse delay with denial so you'll walk away before the miracle arrives." But what he doesn't understand is that while he's whispering, "It's over," God is whispering, "I'm not finished." Some miracles take time because they're not just about what God is doing for you, they're about what God is doing in you. God's miracles are not random, they're strategic. He's shaping your spirit, stretching your faith, building endurance, deepening your dependence. You're learning how to trust Him when nothing moves, how to praise Him when nothing changes, how to believe Him when nothing makes sense. Sometimes God holds the miracle to see if you'll still believe without evidence, because faith is not about sight, it's about trust. If He gave you proof too soon, you wouldn't need faith. So He hides the miracle in time to see if you'll hold on when the clock runs out. Remember Mary and Martha when Lazarus died. They thought it was too late. They said, "Lord, if you had been here, our brother wouldn't have died." But Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God?" And 4 days after death, Jesus called Lazarus out of the tomb. You see, He wasn't late, He was waiting for death to set in so resurrection could have its stage. Some of you are in that fourth day moment. Everything looks dead, the dream looks buried, the marriage looks gone, the ministry looks over, but I came to tell you you're still on schedule for resurrection. When God shows up late, He shows up loaded. When He delays, it's because He's preparing to do something that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man. Don't mistake silence for absence. Just because He's quiet doesn't mean He's quit. God's timing often hides behind heaven's silence. While you're crying, He's calculating. While you're weeping, He's weaving. While you're waiting, He's working. You can't see it yet, but something is shifting in the spirit realm on your behalf. And when it finally manifests, you won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate it. You won't have to beg for it. It'll be like the woman with the issue of blood. She pressed her way for 12 long years, and at the appointed moment, she touched the hem of His garment, and immediately her flow stopped. 12 years of pain ended in 1 second of purpose. That's how suddenly God can move. You can go from waiting to walking in your miracle in a single moment, but you've got to be there when the moment arrives. Don't leave the place of faith. Don't walk away from your assignment. Don't disconnect from what God told you to do. You don't know which day is the day. Naaman almost missed his miracle because the instruction didn't match his expectation. He thought the prophet would wave his hand, say a word, and heal him instantly. But the word was, "Go dip 7 times in the Jordan." He wanted a performance. God wanted obedience. The miracle wasn't in the water, it was in his willingness to obey. And maybe that's where you are. You're asking God for the miracle, and He's saying, "Will you trust me in the process?" Because the process is proof that the promise is real. Every dip of faith brings you closer to your 7th time, that moment where obedience and timing collide and the miracle bursts forth. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting on purpose. Every moment of waiting is loaded with meaning. You're not behind, you're being built. You're not stuck, you're being strengthened. You're not forgotten, you're being fashioned for favor. Do you know how long Joseph had to wait in prison? 13 years. 13 years of being misunderstood, overlooked, and mistreated. But one day, one single day, Pharaoh called his name, and Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister overnight. One moment changed everything, and the same God who turned Joseph's story can turn yours. Don't despise the waiting room. The waiting room is where you grow roots. It's where your faith matures. It's where you stop chasing outcomes and start chasing God. And when the time comes, the door will open not because you pushed it, but because He did. You don't have to manipulate what's already appointed. You don't have to beg for what's already written. The promise is fixed. The plan is secure. Heaven's timing is perfect. You just have to stay in position, stay in prayer, stay in praise, stay in purpose, stay in the Word, stay in faith. Because while you're staying, God is setting the stage for your miracle. The problem with many of us is we confuse God's timing with God's intention. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. The not yet of God is still a promise. If He said it, it will come to pass. I want to tell somebody who's weary, your miracle is still on schedule. The devil can't cancel it. The delay can't derail it. The years can't erase it. The pain can't prevent it. The enemy can try to distract you, but he can't deny you. Because when God stamps your life with purpose, there's no expiration date. You may have lost time, but you haven't lost destiny. God can restore what you thought was gone. He can redeem what you thought was wasted. He can multiply what you thought was over. He's the God who can make one season of favor make up for a lifetime of delay. Ruth went from widowhood to redemption in one divine moment. Esther went from orphan to queen in one season of favor. David went from shepherd to king in one anointing. They all looked like they were behind, but they were right on time. That's how God works. He will hide you, humble you, and then suddenly unveil you. You'll look back and realize every setback was a setup. Every delay was a design. Every tear was watering the soil for your harvest. So lift up your head, dry your eyes. Don't you dare give up now. You are closer than you think. You're not stuck, you're standing at the threshold of your suddenly. Your miracle has a schedule. It's not random, it's not accidental, it's not forgotten. It's marked. Heaven knows your address. The angels have your coordinates. The favor that's coming has your fingerprints on it. When it hits, it's going to make sense why it took so long. When it comes, it'll erase the pain of the wait. When it arrives, it'll exceed every expectation. Because God never makes you wait without reason, He makes you wait so that when it comes, it's worth the wait. So don't quit in the middle of your process. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep expecting. The same God who started it is faithful to finish it. You're not too late, you're not forgotten, you're not finished. You are still on schedule for your miracle.